Hi, this is Chris Hoy. Welcome to Create with Chris, and today I want to share with you how easy it is to create a faux wood slice. These are the supplies I use. Very simple, 3 colors, 3 brushes. I'll list them again at the end. We'll go ahead and get started. I'm using a plain MDF surface and Fawn Americana. Want to make sure that you have a nice seal coat on your surface, and I use the multi-purpose sealer. I am using a 3/4 inch oval wash to base coat the ornament, and I'm starting in the middle and working toward the edges. That just eliminates any paint that might run over the edges or drip down. It just saves a little work in the end. Make sure that it's coated well. The color of the bear ornament and the fawn paint are very similar. So after it dries, and I'm going to give it a quick dry with the heat gun. Absolutely love it. It's a heat tool, excuse me. Once it dries, you can see any areas that are missed, and just take a minute to go back and make sure that you have a nice coverage over the entire ornament. The reason that I wanted to try to find another source for the faux wood slices, they're super popular right now, really hard to find, and if you do find them, you have to deal with all the splits and cracks in them, which makes it very difficult to create ornaments. Give it another quick dry, and I wanted to rotate the ornament to add the wood graining effect. So I just used a jar lid, which is kind of a slippery. You can use any jar lid, but it elevates it just enough off the surface of the workspace that you can easily turn it as you're applying the paint. Using burnt umber and an oval a rounded filbert rake. And I'm working the paint into the bristles. Make sure, as you just saw, that the bristles are still split so that when you apply the paint to the surface, that you do get those rows of paint. Starting in the center, almost like a bullseye. And remember that wood grain, wood slices are not perfect. So let yourself be a little bit relaxed when you do this. Just make sure that when you stop and start for each layer of rings that you don't start and stop in the same place. So I'm kind of staggering where I begin. Staying on the tip of the bristles so that you don't have thick, heavy lines. Use plenty of water so that the paint flows smoothly across the surface, and keep those strokes as smooth as possible and as long as possible. Don't try to, if it gets runs out of paint, don't press down, because you'll just get thicker strokes, and you want those nice thin lines to look like those rings of growth on a tree. And you can see it's not perfect, but I'm trying to get the little rings all the way around up to where the tree bark is going to meet, and just kind of do a little scoop in the center so that, and those in the center are super tight, so you don't have to worry about those being perfect either. I love this. I love not having to fuss about perfection. Using burnt umber again, my 1/2 inch angle, and I'm loading it so that the toe is loaded just a little bit heavier. Very thin paint. Get rid of that jar lid. You don't want to slide around while you're doing this. And I'm just going to float around the outer edge to create that bark ring. See how loose the paint is, very movable. And I'm just going to brush it on, kind of create that division between the growth lines and the bark. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Again, this is just a fun, easy, quick faux finish, but when it's finished, it looks awesome. And you want to slide that float on, and if you do short strokes, go back and smooth it out. And it is a little bit, you know, you're kind of curving around. Just make sure your paint is loose enough that you can work back into any areas that you just applied to smoothen out and get it to connect and flow smoothly. And that's really looking good at this point. We could stop there, but we need just a little more intensity to that using soft black. And be careful, soft black's a powerful color. Radical Round is a brush I designed. I use it for everything, and it's just absolutely perfect for this. Loading it up well, keeping a sharp point with thinned soft black. Just going to very loosely apply an edge to that bark. And this is very soft. I can move the paint around and then go back in and add some bark lines. And these are very irregular lines that just curve around where the bark is. You don't want them to cross over top of each other. They don't have to be parallel. You don't want them dark. These are just to add interest and that look of bark. And just kind of go in there. It's always so much easier to go back and add more paint than having it too heavy and try to figure out how to go back and remove it and fix it. You can see I'm just around that edge of the bark, adding a few lines up towards the outer edge just to enhance that. And go back and fill in any areas that look like they're just a little bit thin. Now I'm just taking my brush that's loaded with thinned soft black, and I'm just kind of laying it at maybe like a 45-degree angle over the edge. This is very thin paint. It's not a heavy coverage. I know it looks like it, but when it dries, it's going to be very translucent, almost a transparent. And kind of tuck it down in those little notches. It's just a little more realistic. This is where the magic really happens. This is what pulls it all together. And by the way, this is also almost identical to that side edge color. So if you did get any paint down the side edges, you can go back with this color and kind of touch it up, or just paint all the sides that color. Look at that. That looks really nice. Now, so much easier than those split cheap faux wood slices that you'll find anywhere. I did want to give it a good varnish, and I'm using the matte, ultra matte varnish. Same deal, start in the center, push, brush it out toward the edges. You won't have any drips over the edge. Once you get it all covered, then you can go back and smooth it out so that you get a perfect finish. I love this matte varnish because when it dries, it has absolutely no sheen at all. And if you want that look of just a wood slice, this is just perfect because wood slices do not have a shine to them. Give it a quick dry with the heat gun, the heat tool, and it looks absolutely perfect. Now I do have the supplies listed again. I used fawn, burnt umber, soft black, a 3/4 inch oval wash, number 5 radical round, 1/2 inch comb, all available from cdwood.com. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video.